Grand Rise, Willie Whittle, It Shall Be Dope. This is the podcast. Let's get into it. Today I have a special guest, one of my best friends, awesome person, uh, very amazing energy and spirit. She helps me get through a lot of spiritual things, a lot of mental concepts when I'm going through it. Carina Stout. So, hi, Carrie. How you doing, dear?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, me and you talked a little bit about going through what we go through on a daily basis, or however we live our lives and things happening. And I think you made a statement a while ago that no, you definitely made a statement a while ago that I wrote down. I needed it in my soul. I had to hear it at the time, and it was about uh, being having that agitator in us, being that like having that agitator that helps us grow into who we need to be at the time, or how we need to perceive whatever is in front of us at the time. Um, the comment that you made, and I'll let you elaborate on it a little bit, was like the agitator in the washing machine. It's like a washing machine can't wash clothes without the agitator. And
Right.
as it agitates, it you know rinses out all the impurities and anything that you feel, so the bad vibes or whatever, and it gives you this like clean garment, right? It gives you something that you can now utilize, and it made it into something better, right? It didn't like magically make it into something better. It actually did the action of going through the agitation, and then it became better. So I feel like when I took that statement, it was we all had to feel that internal agitation, and then it produces something better. So go ahead, Kariri, elaborate a little bit, dear.
Well, it's kind of like I think at the same time I was reading that one book, or I was listening to that one book, and it was talking about the same thing as the pearl, and how the pearl is made is a little bit of sand and agitation gets in there, and then it creates the pearl. But you have to have that agitation. So what we were talking about just a few minutes ago is that a lot of times when that agitation comes, we want to shut down, or we want to go into our space and um, dissociate and become numb, instead of doing the work that it takes to grow and actually get to where you need to be. So that's kind of where that came from.
Definitely, definitely. And
And
go ahead, babe.
I was saying that, and that's usually what happens, is that, you notice in today's culture, it's like, you've offended me. Well, great, offend me all you want, because that's how I'm going to grow. When I get offended, I understand that there's something in me, or a pattern in me, that was triggered. But instead, I try to deflect and put that on you and say, oh, you offended me. Now walk on eggshells around me, where we need to not be walking on eggshells. So it's kind of, yeah, so it's that agitation. And when you're aware of those agitations coming, it makes it easier. Always know that every time you get irritated and anxious or whatever, look at it. Don't just crawl up in a ball, but allow yourself to feel those feelings, and ask why that affected you, so that you can grow, and not just keep on the same path that you've been on.
Definitely.
Because we are here to grow, right? Like, I'm not the same person today that I was even when you and I first met. So we're always continuously growing if we choose to. If not, we just choose to get more medicated.
True statement. And you've definitely grown since we've met, and the growth is mutual, right? Because I've seen a lot of things and felt a lot of things that just talking to you allows me to see a little bit of a bigger picture sometimes. One of my biggest things recently is just to move more purposeful, and to be in a different, more positive energy, because I could be a downer sometimes. I could take something and make the world upside down about it. And I know we all can, because it's kind of easy that way to dump on some of the negative feelings that we may be running into. But important statement that you made was to still push through and do the work. Like, sometimes you're gonna face that adversity, and you're gonna say, "Man, how can I get through this? Let me, stick to my process, be purposeful, and do the work. And you'll see growth in yourself that you didn't think you had, or that you knew you had. You just had to keep, dusting it off. Um, and that pearl thing is amazing. Like an oyster takes sand and agitation, and they create pearls. Like, that's an amazing thing, and it's like one of like these God's miracles that just happens, right? And then nobody understands like why it's happening or not. But the process of it happening is you take something, you take these little nuggets of, sand, which I really don't know what sand is. I just know it makes glass, and now I know it makes pearls, right? But you take this like material, right, and then you add agitation and pressure, and then it becomes a pearl. Just like coal in a diamonds, right? So I think we take that for granted a lot. And I think the conversation that we were just having, I pushed myself to do something different because, I bought a car this weekend. I bought a car yesterday. And
Yay!
whoop whoop, yep. I call her Storm, everybody. So whoop, whoop, if you see Storm outside, say what's up. Um, but it took me a little bit. I had to reach into my wife's purposeful energy bag to really get into my purposeful energy bag and say, I'm going to go buy this car. Right? Because my wife would have pushed me and she would have been like, go get it. Like, because my wife was one of those agitators for me. She took and she saw my process being too long and too methodic, and she said, hey, we're doing this now, and it might throw me off. Like, are we really? Like, I'm not done processing. She's like, you're not going to be done processing. Let's go. So, I had to initiate that in myself yesterday in order for me to say, hey, I'm going to go do this, right? And I got the deal done. I did everything. I had to sit in that energy with my wife and stuff, and say, I heard you and I did it, right? But I think that's what our agitation does for us internally, right? Me and you've talked about that heavy, with like your work transitions, right? And the whole thought process of, when you feel unsettled, I want to say unsettled, or something that's like, man, this is a change. How can I function through it? What can I do? Like, we rely on our process, the people who we are, number one, and then you rely on the people who actually care about you. Like, we can help each other through some of these agitation situations and turn them into a positive.
Yeah, I agree. And I think the help comes from places that sometimes you least expect it, right?
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, it can come in the form of, like the support and just someone listening, letting you vent, but it also can come in the support of someone pushing you further, calling you out on your stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
To causing you to grow and things that you don't really want, like, not you, but me, some things that I've kind of tried to muscle through. It's sometimes it catches up with you, and then you're like, man, this really is a problem, and it's something I've kind of been embarrassed about, or and yeah, so that happened this week, which is like my communication style. My communication style is like, when you and I talk and you're like, okay, are you ready? Do you have an answer? And I'm like, yeah, I'll have it in like 30 minutes. You know what I mean? Or I'll call you back, and just let me call you right back. And you're like waiting by the phone, and I don't call, and it's that because it's just me struggling through some things, or like if I'm battling a lot of things at once, my easiest thing is to get it off of me,
Mm-hmm.
and then try to find that piece where I can work through. But it's really hard, and it affects a lot of other people because like you can't do what you need to do without my answer, and I've got like a bunch of different things. So sometimes the answer is I don't have an answer right now, and being comfortable in saying that.
Yeah, and the thing is too, like in our careers, like we have so many different variables that like my answer will derive from somebody else's answer, which may derive from somebody else's answer. So I'll get back with you. And realistically, we would like to give that answer like right now. But we know that our 30 minutes is actually saturated with like, okay, we have to sprinkle 5 minutes in from over here. This person's 10 minutes. Hey, this person just walked in and they're going to steal 7 minutes of my life because, they need to hear about it right now, right? So we have a chaotic balance in our careers. And the thing that ties that into the agitation, right, is that we know that this is honestly like the mentality that we have. Like, logistics is not one of those things that you really just do and you clock out and you leave. We've had conversations on Saturday about the work. We've had conversations in the evening about the work. So these are the things that, sometimes the grind doesn't stop. But I think sometimes you have to mentally be built for it too. And
absolutely
understanding like whether we have our work agitations and our life agitations, we're actually built for this growth. We're actually built for the mindset that's being presented to us every day. Like, I think that one of the big things that you were going through before was not really going through, but you're a high energy person. Like, the thing that I really love about Kariri, everybody, is that when her energy is cooking, it's cooking. It is cooking, and I kid you not. Like, I'm in depth every time she tells me about some energy, something spiritual that she's going through, and she's very in tune with her energetic spirit, and it helps me see a lot of different things that's going on, like when she's highly energized. So that's why it's important for us to not only see the chaotic energy too, the agitation energy, but when our energy is talking to us when we're trying to go through that chaos, maybe it's telling us like, you're going down the right path, or something kicks you, which we talked about that when you said this happened and this happened, and it was like, man, I can't. And then soon as all of this stuff was happening, there was this pearl that pops up and says, hey, what about this, right? And you can't help but notice that, oh, over here there's a pearl, and all of this stuff just ain't working. Like, this door is getting harder and harder to push on, and you may see it, and it may not be a grass is greener on the other side type of thing, but it might be something in your spirit saying a change is near. And it's a constant reminder to wake you up and say, recognize change. The agitation is to get you to recognize change. It may not be the change that you want, it's just the change that you need.
I agree. And I think it's important to know is like that the energy that you're talking about is kind of like the day that I was working out, and all of a sudden out of nowhere you pop into my head, and I was like, okay, that's weird. That it was just, I was in the middle of working out, and then I come back and then I message you and be like, hey, not sure what you're going through, but you popped into my head, and just let you know that I was thinking about you. I don't know if you need strength or what. And you're like, you know what, I was in my feelings. It's amazing that happened, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, don't take those things for granted. Definitely don't take those things for granted. But as far as like even the agitation, things happen to us and really just kind of tick us off, especially when we're in a hurry or we're trying to do things our own way. But when you just kind of recognize what's going on around you, and it's amazing the things that were being shown all the time. Like that one morning I was in Kroger, and I think I told you about this, where I was doing the self-checkout, and I hate the self-checkout because I don't like it when that lady talks back to me like, put your stuff in a bag, and it just irritates me.
Yeah, I try to silence her if I can remember.
I know. I don't think they allow us to anymore at Kroger. I tried.
Yikes.
But yeah, so I'm sitting here doing it. I'm getting worked up because I'm having to do this, and I'm like, at every angle, I'm getting stuck on something, or, needing help, and then having to wait for the help to come over. And I'm just thinking to myself, I really need to go. I'm going to be late. This has taken me a couple extra minutes. And then finally, when I, when I was done, I pick up my groceries and I'm walking out, and then I look up and I see someone I hadn't seen in a while. And it was, one of the girls that I used to work with, when I worked at the high school, and her mom had died, and her mom was someone that everybody just loved. And I just saw her, and I went up to her and I gave her a hug, and I knew that she needed that hug. And it was just like, wow, had I rushed through it and just been angry through that, I would have missed that opportunity to be there for someone.
Right.
And we miss those opportunities, or we get angry through them. And that's when I started to learn that you just got to learn to dance through those storms, right? No matter what, you're going to be wet. Just
Absolutely.
dance in it. Have a little fun. Don't get angry and walk around all mad.
Agreed. Very, very profound statement. Like,
but that's
sometimes
growth.
you just got to be there, right?
Yeah, and that's growth. That's recognizing those statements, or recognizing those moments. That's you've grown, because the past me would have probably went all day and been angry all day because of something that happened. But
Like,
darn
self-checkout lady yelled at me, and then I snatched my stuff up and I left. But instead, right, you tell the story of how you ran into this woman and you said, hey, how are you? Like, energy, hug, the love is there. Like, so it does definitely turn your memory around, right?
It does. It does. But that's the thing that happens to us all the time, that we, the things that come, or like, you probably heard stories about when somebody's running late for work and then there was a car accident and somebody was, had been killed. And it's like, wow, I was just running, like a minute late or 2 minutes late. And if that was me, that could have been me in that car.
Right. Right.
It's like those things that, wow, just don't take it for granted when something's happening, that maybe this is your moment. This is, somebody intervening, or something intervening and looking out for your best interest. So
it's kind of funny because it's almost like we're always where we're supposed to be. We just don't know it, right? So it's always like this definite God's plan, right? We're already moving in our destiny, and we're just realizing every moment that we're where we're supposed to be. This we don't know what's going to happen the rest of the day. We had a plan. We might have had a plan for the day or a plan for tomorrow, but like the famous words of Mike Tyson, everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face. So like, we don't know what's going to happen in the next minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. We just have to live in that process inside of us that says, I just want to feel great, be enlightened, or just feel, period, because you got to feel all of it. Carina, one of my favorite movies is Inside Out.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm probably going to watch Inside Out 2 sometime today if I possibly can. But Inside Out is a great movie that always reminds me of you, because, like, I see you as Joy, but I also see, like, the different versions of you in every character, right? Because we've experienced each other in many different lights of, all right, I don't feel like this, I really want to get over this, I'm mad, I'm upset, I'm down, I'm sad, this bothers me, I'm disgusted by it, right? And then, like, or you be fearful of something. We've been in every single emotion that we could possibly be, and understanding that there's a way to transition through all of them, right? You definitely need all of these emotions in order to have that growth, right? Because you were going, like you said, when you were at Kroger, you were going through an angry mode. Not necessarily angry, like you weren't going to punch the machine or nothing, but I do get that lady's irritating. And then you had to digress and say, all right, let me just do this, do that. And it takes a lot of strength to do that, right? It takes a lot of strength to understand that agitation, to understand that there has to be uh, some trust, in us and our feelings, our um, emotions, to allow us to be us, right? To create that pearl, to create the clean shirt agitation situation, right? Because one of the statements that I got from uh, rapper named Absol, deep dude, you gotta listen to it, because I was in this vibe for a while where I listened to this one song every day, and it was called "Do Better." And every morning I would wake up, and it was just, you gotta do better, you gotta do better, you gotta, and it was just resonating in my head, right? But this guy's deep,
Yeah.
and one of the quotes he said was, "Peer pressure rarely turns coal into diamonds." Right. So it's not the external pressure that's going to help you become that diamond. It's your internal pressure. It's the pressure that you feel inside that's going to help you turn something into that. It turn that coal that you may feel, that deep, whatever it is at the time, whatever your emotions are at the time, it's that pressure that you feel inside that's going to turn it into a diamond. Not the pressure that you feel from the outside, not because that's what we're going to be influenced by. We're going to be influenced, like we said, by the work, by the Kroger machine, by the the traffic when we're going to work. These are the things that are going to create these situations that make us say, well, then what can we do about it? Right? What can we do about it? Okay, for me, I go to work early, and I don't have to be there early, but I leave early because I don't like traffic. So I avoid all of that situation by leaving work early, getting to my parking spot, and just being there. Okay, great. So I've learned something. I chose to grow in that path, right?
Right.
Um, some growth being more profound. Hey, instead of me dealing with this person this way, I'm gonna start talking to them, take a really deep breath, and then just let them talk. Or, because sometimes you can't control every situation that's going to create this diamond for you. You have to find a way to process and trust your emotions in that situation.
Yeah, I agree. And that's the thing, though, is like you said, when you started, leaving early, it's like we do learn different modifications or behavior modifications, or we adapt, right?
Mm-hmm.
But also, it's finding that balance to where we're not adapting too much, or modifying too much, because that's what I get into, is when I try to change things too much, and then it's basically by my might, and I'm trying to muscle through it,
Mm-hmm.
and then that's when the burnout comes.
Yeah.
When there's yeah, so like when my coworker's out of work, I should just stay home, because there's the horrible days. I was like, I'm sick today, right? Like,
Yep. Well, I feel like they're gonna have to deal with that for me for a couple weeks because I'm on vacation. So for my coworkers, they all had like meetings and stuff, and they're like, "What's gonna happen?" So their agitators are gonna be running high when I come back. I guarantee it. They're gonna have to sit and trust in their process, or the process that I left for them, and we'll see what it looks like. But also, we get to enjoy the time of the diamonds that we've made and the pearls that we've made. Right. So that's another
right,
the last piece that I really want to get into is making sure after we go through the process, we enjoy the fruits of our labor. Right. Like I said, I bought a car, so that was a big deal for me. But I had to enjoy. I had to go through and like, this is what I want, and I enjoy it. This is what I feel, and I'm sitting in it. I have sat in it. I'm here, and I get to enjoy this. Like, um, so now we're Jeep brothers and sisters. Whoop, whoop.
I know, right? You're gonna come out and find a duck on your Jeep.
Yay!
Be like, what is this?
I'm excited. But that's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to um, find a new us. Like, we're supposed to find a new us every day, or unlock a new level, right? Because if we were always at the same level, then the game would be boring. So we have to unlock a
Absolutely.
new level, and that's what wisdom looks like. So we're very Karina, since you've been in my life, it's been dope. For sure. All of our conversations are definitely meaningful to me, and just the fact that, like, that day, I did want to touch on that because you said it was definitely a day I was having a week, Forget having a day, I was having a week, and I was sitting at my desk at home, and I was just staring out the window, contemplating on all of the moves that I could potentially make because all of it, like my agitator was agitating, like it was, like it was going, and I'm just looking out the window trying to create what pearl is supposed to come out of this, right? And you called me out of the blue. Out of the blue. You was just like, hey, something told me I needed to check on you. And I was like, yeah, and I was vibing high. Like, my energy was high. And that's why I said, like, you've always been like this energy angel. Because I needed something. I needed somebody to bounce it off of. And I did not know. I didn't know. Like, at the time, I didn't know what to do with it. And you became that person, which you've done multiple times in my life. But you became that person and said, hey, I just felt something told me to check on you today. And you end up getting a lot of, probably some stuff you didn't want to hear. Like, you felt a lot of all of my energy and everything. And you was like, okay, all right, so let's talk about that. Like, what do we want to do? What are our options? Like, what, your feelings are definitely valid, right? So we went through and we talked about that for probably I believe we talked for like an hour that day. And it was awesome for me to have those feelings, sit in that process with you from an energy standpoint, understanding what I was feeling, and then being able to help me, you held my hand through a process that I was fighting with, right? So I definitely appreciate that. And that's how we build a lot of our future relationships, a lot of our future conversations, and especially coming here today. Like, here today, having this conversation was long overdue, but it was right on time. Right? So
yeah.
It's always going to be something that we just need to do it.
We do.
Just need to do it. So, Karina, my dear, thank you for being on the show. The podcast, right? And you always say it better than me, because it's funny, because I'll be talking and I'll say, oh yeah, it'll be great, and you say, it shall be dope, and I'm like, hey, you right.
Reminding you of your own slogan.
Yeah, right? Like, keep me on task. I like it. But
or in a meeting, when you're saying something in a meeting, and all of a sudden you're like, you say it one way, and I send you a text like, it shall be dope.
Yeah, it's the correction. I was like, I like that, because it puts me right back in my brand.
Absolutely.
So I love that, and everything that you provide to me, everything that you do, I super appreciate it. I feel like through my mission to peace, as we walk down this path, I found a true ally in you, and as long as we continue to walk this path with love, it shall be dope.
Shall be dope.
Absolutely. So thank you, everybody, and thank you, Karina, once again.
Aw, thanks for having me.
No problem. Till later.
Till later.